Nice to meet you all. I am going to run through a presentation for about 15-20 minutes, just really to outline the program, its rationale and its background, the way that it works. And then please feel free to ask any questions via the chat at the end, and we'll do our best to answer them. If we can't answer them here, I'll come back to you through an email if you can leave me an email address, just in case there's a need for me to go and dig into things a wee bit more. So we're talking about the Masters in Performance Coaching and Development. This is a unique program in many ways, in particular for the University of Edinburgh. University of Edinburgh is in the top 20 in the world of universities, and we've designed this program very much to make the most of the expertise that we have on the staff team. All the staff on this program are coaches and academics, so they do the job and they also do the research into the job, and they also teach about the job. So there's an extensive real-world coaching experience across the teaching team. We've designed the program so that there are three possible exit routes: a postgraduate certificate, which involves doing 3 of the 6 taught elements; postgraduate diploma, which involves doing all the formally taught elements; and then you put the icing on the cake with a larger research project that is the dissertation, which enables you to take a topic within coaching, within your field, and explore it in greater depth. It's there that you perhaps have the opportunity to really provide something for a potential employer or an employer who may be sponsoring you, supporting you through the process. The bit that's unique here for a university of this standing is that we have 2 entry routes. One is that rather typical entry route that is an undergraduate degree, 5 years of coaching experience into the masters, but we've also decided that we should recognize the depth of expertise that coaches have who perhaps haven't come in through that formal academic route. So there is a route here for coaches who have a professional qualification at level 3 or above and 5 years of experience into the program. And you'll see that that's reflected in the way that we've designed the program. In particular, the entry course, the managing the coaching process, has an element in it in developing academic skills, so that we can address that with those coaches who've perhaps been out of academia or perhaps are coming in without the traditional undergraduate degree background. The program itself is very situated in your coaching environment. So we expect coaches to have some experience coming into this. That enables us to hang what we're doing on experience, but also to be actively working within a high performance coaching environment. Now, when we talk about coaching, probably 10-15 years ago, we'd have been talking about coaching as a sporting activity. But we're talking here about coaching as a range of developmental techniques that can be applied across a range of different domains. So applications have been open for a wee while. We already have people on the program who are sports coaches, but we also have people on the program who are coming from executive coaching backgrounds, from school backgrounds where teachers are leading a team of teachers and developing their teaching staff within their department. We have some coaches who have come in from the emergency services and are teaching aspects of rescue and paramedic care. We have some coaches who've come in from developmental roles within the armed services, working with small specialist teams. So we have a nice range of individuals in which coaching is applied. Now, part of the reason that we have this approach to have you in a coaching environment is that we'll be doing research throughout the degree program, throughout the master's program, initially at quite a small scale, getting you used to the ideas of effective research, effective measurement of the effect of your own coaching interactions and those of others. But the idea would be to build to that larger master's dissertation at the end of the process. So you'll be research active throughout this. The driver behind this program is that coaching has become an aspect of many developmental domains. We know that coaching is evidence informed, and that's important. So it's a combination of the coach's experience and what we have discovered through research and our knowledge. It isn't driven purely by the research. It's a combination of the two, hence evidence informed. And we know that good coaching is very adaptable and flexible. We know that good coaches are best described as what are called adaptive experts rather than routine experts. And that means their skill is in being able to respond to the needs of their clients in the situations in which they're coaching, being able to adapt existing approaches or create new approaches. Now that becomes important because that enables the coach to respond to new situations and develop the individual in the trajectory, but also in the way that the individual needs. So it's a very individualized process. Research over the last 15 years that has come from our own research team and other research institutes has demonstrated that effective coaching is a level of thinking that is clearly at master's level. It's clearly about being critical. It's very clearly about being able to respond to the needs of the clients that are being coached. So consequently, throughout a lot of the work that we will do, we'll encourage you to develop your critical thinking skills, and because these will inform your coaching practices, will get you to reflect on your own coaching, also to observe other coaches perhaps within your institution, or within your institution, or perhaps with other colleagues from the program itself. We also know that there is a lot of demand for high quality coaching, and that is balanced with the fact that there is a lot of what did one of my students last week describe it as cookie cutter coaching. There's a lot of procedural method based coaching that doesn't reflect the individual, but what we're after is coaching, developing your coaching to be able to individualize it and differentiate it to the needs of the people that you're working with. We've designed this as a flexible program, and very much in our minds are our roles as active coaches. And so we understand there are professional commitments that go with being a coach at this kind of level. One of the favorite comments from my students recently was that it's described as part-time, but actually we know that for professional coaches this is spare time. So we've designed this so that it fits around your professional commitments. That's manifest in a couple of ways. Fees for the course are based on a credit course by course basis. There are 6 taught elements plus the dissertation for the masters. 2 of those, the managing the coaching process, which is the entry route into the program, and the research methods are bookends to 4 courses that can be taken in any order or any sequence or any intensity, depending on your commitments, your professional commitments. For example, we've got the Olympics coming up quite soon, and clearly coaches who are working in the Olympic disciplines of sports perhaps have their hands full. So they might choose not to study a course during this period, but they could, in their downtime post-Olympics, over the summer or into the autumn, choose to do 2 courses simultaneously. We probably wouldn't encourage you to do more than 2 courses simultaneously, but we have a timetable, a program in which those 4 taught elements are repeated in a cycle over a 2.5-3 year process. So there's plenty of opportunity to get all the taught elements covered. So it looks a bit like this. Coaches from a professional background or coaches from the academic background come in, join the program at the Managing the Coaching Processes course. If you were only going to pursue the Postgraduate Certificate, you'd need to do Diagnostic Analysis of Coaching Practice and Performance Development and Expertise. If you were doing the Postgraduate Diploma, you might do, in addition to those 3, Coach Development and Mentoring and Developing Professional Expertise. And then you'd bookend that process with research methods. And the research methods part of the program is to take an element of your coaching practice that you want to explore further, design a proposal for a dissertation, and so it acts as the stepping stone then into the dissertation, which would then give you the master's. Like I said, Managing the Coaching Process is the gateway course in. At an academic level, it's pitched deliberately to be able to act as a stepping stone from the level of knowledge that we expect coaches to have, which is broadly undergraduate professional level 3, and then to introduce you to the processes that are involved with study at master's level. As you can see, there are 2 tasks associated with this that are assessed, 2 field reports which would be built based on a template, but would be field reports of your own coaching or observed coaching of other people, and then an applied reflective piece that looks at you exploring your own coaching processes. So the big element within this is getting folks to be able to understand how academia sits within coaching at this level, but also to develop the reflective skills and the understanding of a modern understanding of the coaching process as it applies in different contexts and different settings. The other course that would be linked in with this is Diagnostic Analysis of Coaching Practice. We know that adaptive coaches, for them to be effective, need to be able to understand the effectiveness of their own coaching practice, and that's the focus of this particular course. So this starts to look at ways of evaluating your own coaching, and then from that to be able to develop ways of improving and enhancing your coaching process. The final of the 3 courses for the PG Cert looks at how we might define and develop expertise both in performers but also in coaches as ourselves. So I've already mentioned that good coaches are what we call adaptive experts. That's very much as a response to the really dynamic environments in which we coach. So this course starts to expand on that and asks you to be part of a seminar presentation at the end of the program, but also to conduct a case study that again is based in your place of work. If you did those 3 components, You have up to 2 years in which to do that. You could then exit the program with a postgraduate certificate. We'd prefer you not to do that, and to get you to do the following 3 courses. Coach development, which is a course that will look specifically at how we develop fellow coaches in our coaching teams. So this works on the idea that when you're coaching at this level, you will work with other coaches, and part of your function will be to develop their coaching effectiveness as part of the team approach to develop individuals. We've got another case study in here, but we've also got a critical review here. And it's at this point that we start to explicitly develop the criticality of you as a coach, being critical of the knowledge sources that you use to support your coaching practice. The final course here before research methods is about developing professional expertise, and here we look at the professionalization of coaching as an activity across a range of different domains. What are the implications for that as coaches? How do we ensure that we are professional coaches working in a continually developing, continually adapted mode? And then the bookend of these taught elements is the research process, where we will teach you to use a range of different formal research methods, and to be able to use those in combination. So we'll look at quantitative approaches, qualitative approaches to research, and mixed approaches, which are combinations of the two. We will encourage you to practice your analysis skills on a data set that you will have hopefully created in your own workplace by this point. But then we'll also, and this is the cherry on the cake here, is get you to start designing your research proposal for your coaching dissertation. And in this way, we are able to refine your dissertation proposal so that when you get into your MSc dissertation, you're starting from a position of having already created the plan and the process for the dissertation. If you chose not to move into the dissertation, you could exit at this point with a diploma, postgraduate diploma in performance coaching and development. But we hope that by the time we've completed research methods and we have that research proposal written down, that actually you'd then be inspired and motivated to conduct the final bit, which is the coaching dissertation. Now we can do the coaching dissertation in 2 ways: a traditional dissertation form, which is about 12,000 words of work, or if it's beneficial for your professional development or your employer sees there to be a benefit, you could take the route here of writing your dissertation as a peer-reviewed article. Although the word count is smaller, the writing skills that are required to be able to encapsulate a whole research project in between 5,000 to 7,000 words is actually part of the demanding part of the coaching dissertation. Throughout this, you'd have a supervisor that you were working with that would have specialist knowledge of the area that you were coaching, you were writing your dissertation in, and you have upward of a year to be able to conduct this part of the project. So just as a summary, it's a fully online program. You will need access to internet to do this. That means that some of this program is taught pre-recorded, small pre-recorded sections that you could review in your own time, as well as seminars and tutorials and group work that would be scheduled that you would need to attend in person. We've got a unique coaching team, and it's a flexible program, both in terms of the payment but also in the structure to reflect your coaching commitments. I noticed a few questions come up there in the text. Let's have a think about those. Yes, you can do the certificate and the diploma in less than those periods. That's not fixed. That, of course, is part of the way in which you would need to balance this with your professional work. Yeah. What are the other questions that are in there?
And Loel, if I could maybe just read them out just for the benefit of the people who are watching the recording back. So you're responding to the question that was asking if it's possible to do the PG certificate or the PG diploma in less time than the 2 or 4 years. And you've advised that, yes, it's possible to do that. The flexibility of the course will allow you to determine how many courses you'd wish to take each semester or term. So if you were particularly busy with work, your own professional work, you maybe would choose to take a term off. But if you had a year where you were free, you might be able to take more courses per term than somebody who's also working, full time at the same time.
Clearly there's an element in there that relates to numbers on courses and staff availability, but the intention is there to be able to allow you to select and complete in less than that time if your professional commitments allow.
And then the next question, or the other question from that person was, what is the time commitment per course, per week or month? Do you have a sense of that, Loel?
Yes, I do. I mean, typically those courses are each given 20 credits, and that equates to about 200 hours of work. Now, not all of that is class contact, is contact time. The vast majority of that is work in your own time, in your own areas. So if you imagine 20 hours of contact in various forms of with the staff teaching the program, that leaves you with 180 hours in which you are doing your own reading, your own research, your data collection.
And so that's like, maybe, would that be like a 2-hour taught course per week, and then an expectation that you were going to do reading or research in your own time for 10 hours per week or 15, or
that would vary.
Hard to break down.
That would vary, but you would expect on average to have contact of around 2 hours to 3 hours each week, whether that is face-to-face interaction or whether that is perhaps a pre-recorded briefing on assessments that are part of the module, part of the course. So yeah, work on 2 to 3 hours a week.
Super. And that was interesting that you were noting that some of the activity would be synchronous and some would be asynchronous. Maybe that's a university kind of term. So some of it would be live, where everyone needs to be present at the same time. And then there'll be some that's pre-recorded that you can kind of access in your own time, around your own schedule, in your own time zone.
That's it, exactly.
There was another question here about how do I provide proof of being in the coaching environment? Would you be able to respond to that? The way that we would look at that is in your application, there are references that you would need to highlight, and you would expect those references to be able to demonstrate that you've been in that coaching environment. But you'd also, in your application,
perhaps exemplify your coaching experience as well. So your application will give you an outline of how long you've been coaching, where you've been coaching, what you've been doing, and your reference would support that that is actually true.
Thank you. And if anyone has any follow-up questions, or if that's not clear, then please just let us know in the chat and we can chat further. There's another question here which is asking, what is there to consider for someone joining the course with the main residence in continental Europe? Do you have anything to say about that? I'll maybe follow you up at the end.
I believe the fees are the same.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and I think the biggest challenge there would be twofold. One would be ensuring that you have the English language skills. There's a requirement to demonstrate the English language skills are at the standard, and then there is just a little bit of the time difference to deal with.
I would absolutely agree those points. And this program is totally online. There's no requirement at all to come to the university campus or come to Edinburgh at all for this program. It's fully online and flexible. And as we've mentioned before, you can kind of choose when you are available to take the courses for this course, depending on your own personal schedule. But you are, I'll note as well, you are a university master's student. You'll receive a student card. So if you get any benefits at wherever you are for student discounts on things, then you are classed as a student, an official student. If you did find yourself in Edinburgh for whatever reason, I mean, we often have graduates of our online learning programs come to Edinburgh for the first time ever to come walk at graduation. You are a student, and it will be lovely to meet you in person and welcome you to our not always rainy city, but very beautiful, very Harry Potter city. But you are a student. So if you, like, say you're on a conference or coming for an event or something and you happen to be in Edinburgh, you would be treated as our on-campus students are treated. You have access to the library, you have access to all of our student resources. Like we have career services at the university. We have different sort of student experience and support and activities and events. You'd be welcome to join those as well. I think you still actually, as an online learning student, do have access to all of these things digitally. So you can access career service whilst you're abroad, wherever you are in the world. And likewise for student support, you'll have access to our student support online as well.
Yeah, great. I did just notice that this program in an earlier version has been in the university for about 3 or 4 years. This is a new format for this program. So this would be the first, the intake in September, this September coming would be the first intake on this new reframed program.
Yes, that's responding to Bianca's question. And I saw one from David as well, asking, is there a limit to the numbers on the courses? If so, how do you differentiate between applicants?
Okay, so that's a great question. We currently have a number of places offered to students who've put their applications in already. The optimum number for students on this program is between 12 and 14, but we have no upper limit. The reason we have no upper limit is that we would, if we find good applicants, we will want to take those applicants on. So we are selecting the university rather than recruiting. So the application process is important. And that does mean that you need to put a good application in that demonstrates your commitment, your coaching experience, your level of qualification, and your aspirations from the course. But what that would also mean is that we don't just take anybody. because the course has a high component of interaction amongst the students, it's really important to set the standard by selecting students with the right level of experience.
I've responded to Bianca's follow-up question there around kind of the course schedule. So I think that one's covered. And I don't see any other questions in the chat, but please, we've got plenty of time, so please keep them coming. And I just realized that I haven't included all the links I typically include to the website and such, so I'll add those in as well. But while we wait for any other questions to come in, I'm going to just click along to the next slide after this one, which shows a couple of other resources that might be of interest to you. So obviously, as we've said, this is a totally online program. So, and there's no expectation to come to Edinburgh, but there's a virtual visit available, so you can kind of get a sense of where we are. And as I say, like if you ever were wanting to come visit or be in town, then we'd be more than happy to welcome you and show you around. And you can make use of all the university resources. And there's also something called the student chat or UniBuddy chat, and you can use that to get in touch with any current students. There is another online learning, Moray House online learning student from, I think, our MSc in Digital Education, who is a student ambassador. So if you wanted to get in touch with another student to see what it's like studying online, you know, maybe returning to higher education after a break, or ask any questions that you have to a real live student, then you can make use of that tool and ask any of your questions there. I'll pop the links to those in the chat just now. And again, I've just bashed a whole bunch of links into the chat there. So if anyone has any questions based on those, please feel free to ask. And I just was going to post the link to fees and funding here as well, and was wanting to speak to those and sort of clarify. I know, Loel, you've discussed them really well, so maybe this is just repeating. But as Loel mentioned, this course is part-time, and it's offered what's called part-time intermittent, which means that you would pay for each course that you take, whether that's through the PG certificate, diploma, or the full master's. You pay for each course on a course-by-course basis. So you'll pay for those when you choose to take it. So if you're taking one course in the first semester, which is 20 credits, you just are paying for that course just before you start to take the course. You're not having to pay for the full master's at the outset, but you just pay for each course as you take it. I mean, this is sometimes mentioned because the dissertation is a 60 credit course. So that's something to bear in mind when you're thinking about your how you're wanting to finance your program. And as I say, I've included that fees and funding link there. So I wanted to draw attention as well that we do have one school scholarship, the Murray House Access Scholarship, and it's for, it covers the full tuition fees and living costs, but it's for a student from a UK national from a particular background. So if that might be you, then please have a look. But on the fees and funding page, you can also find the link to the university's scholarships, loans, and other funding search tool, where there are a couple of other scholarships available to online learning students. So please do have a look at those resources on that page and see if there might be a scholarship or a loan or a funding option that might work for you. A lot of times, like different governments will have scholarships or bursaries or funding for postgraduate studies. So please search far and wide. Funding is a big issue. So hopefully those resources will be helpful to you. We also found out, I found out recently that in the past, the tuition fees rise each year due to inflation anyway. And typically for these part-time courses, the fees would increase with inflation each year. But we found out that the universities made commitment to holding the fees at the level, at the rate at which you've joined. So from if you join now, whatever the tuition fees are this year will be the same as what you're paying per course if you take the courses next year. So even though the general university's tuition fees rise with inflation each year, you'll be able to know when you join this year exactly how much you expect to pay for your course, which is, I think, a great new benefit.
Okay, so the question there is about the dissertation being a 60 credit course. So each part of the program gets given a credit rating. 20 credits equates to about 200 hours of work. The dissertation is a bigger piece of work. So imagine that is 60 credits, and therefore that's about 600 hours of work that's required. So the credit rating is illustrative of the amount of commitment that's required. The other way of thinking of this is that the dissertation equates to 3 individual taught courses in terms of the time, the commitment, the degree of work. Hopefully that answers your question.
I like that option on the dissertation to do the peer-reviewed article as well. I think most of our other masters just have that traditional huge 12,000 word dissertation, but the peer review article seems like a great alternative.
Well, that's in there because we know that being published, it does a lot for the credibility and the professional standing of that coach. It also is a peer-reviewed process, so it's an independent set of eyes on the piece at the end. So the dissertation isn't the final peer-reviewed article, but logically what you would do is then submit the article to a journal, and then work with your supervisor post-graduation in crafting that into a peer-reviewed piece in a journal.
I see that Saskia has no more questions. We still have about 15 minutes, so if you've got any other questions, you'd be more than welcome to ask them. I've not heard from Garcia or David. And Bianca, please feel free to ask any other questions you might have. All right, thank you very much. But yeah, we still have plenty of time.
We currently have, I think, 7 or 8 conditional offers out to potential students, just for folks' information.
And you were looking to have about how many people on the program starting in September?
Optimum number would be between 12 and 14, but clearly if we get lots of good students, we will increase those numbers to make the most of the breadth of expertise that people bring.
Excellent.
Yes, get applications in. However, don't rush the application. You've got my contact details there. More than happy to help with those applications as we go through. It's just as with any application, I'm sure you'll all be familiar with it when you're doing job applications. It's a question of making sure you illustrate what's required. Being in a coaching environment, 5 years of experience, either an undergraduate degree or a level 3 qualification. All of those things act as the criteria.
There's also, like, if you're having any technical problems with your application, and I mean, you can start your application, you don't have to, like, you can start and stop it, right? So you can just make a start on it and chip away at it. So you don't feel like you have to kind of blast it all in one go. It can kind of be a bit big. And you can certainly submit your application without having all of the kind of different documents all lined up. And what might happen is you get like a conditional offer as opposed to an unconditional offer, and that would be conditional upon you meeting any other requirements. Like, for example, if you were from a non-native English speaking country and had a requirement to submit an English language test, you could still definitely submit your application and we can process that, and it would just be contingent on you meeting your English language requirement or something. Likewise, for like a reference, you might complete your application and get everything in as far as you can, and just kind of waiting for the reference to be submitted doesn't hold you back from being able to submit your application. I was going to post a link. So admissions, the PG admissions team who kind of does all the administrative processing of the applications, they also have a live chat. So if you're having problems like uploading a document or like filling in the application form, then they can help you with that. And they're really quick to respond as they've got the live chat. So I'll add a link there. Loel, I saw another question come in. Would you mind sort of paraphrasing it and seeing if you can respond?
Yeah. So there was a question there about United Kingdom Coaching Certificate Level 3. That's in here as an illustration. Because there are so many different coaching structures, professional coaching structures, we would look for something that is comparable to the UKCC Level 3. And the easiest way to deal with that, and I've done this with a couple of the applications that we've reviewed so far, is to get people to specify the award that they have, and then it lands on my desk rather than just going through admissions. And I will then investigate and look at what's been covered in that award and make sure that it's comparable. I then come back to admissions and say, yes, the executive coaching level 5 qualification exceeds the UKCC level 3, and so that is acceptable. So we deal with just the range of qualifications internationally in that way. The other question that came up there is, we talk about performance environments, and the way to think of that for me is that we're dealing with the activities of an individual, and it has both a practical and a cognitive element to that. So performance can be applied everywhere, in which we are coaching and developing an individual to do better at whatever they're doing. Hopefully that answers that question.
I saw one that was asking about equivalence in the ICF universe. Do you know about that, or is that something that you'd be able to, or admissions would be able to look at, like on a case-by-case basis?
Could look at that. Could you read me that question? I didn't see that.
Yes,
flyer.
it says, coming back to the UKCC, what would that be approximately in the ICF universe? International Coaching Federation, says Saskia.
Yeah. ICF. So that is similar to the UKCC. Again, I'd go back to that idea that you would specify the level of award that you've got, if it's ICF recognized, and at what level, and we would then make sure that that had covered the same as a UKCC level 3. UKCC level 3 is equivalent to an undergraduate degree, if that helps. Great, thanks, Saskia. Could you read me that last question?
Yes, of course. So there's a question asking, in the various fields that you've had applications from, how do you deem something to be performance-based? For example, someone working in a business compared to someone working within sport. So between the different fields, what does performance, how do you rate performance, I suppose?
Okay. So I'll go back to my earlier. Performance is about the individual, and we would view that as improving their capacity to do whatever they are being coached to develop. So in sport, that might be performance at a domestic, national, international level. Within a business setting, it might be improving that person's ability to lead a team in a particular aspect of a business. Yeah. So performance isn't viewed for us just as Olympic or international. Performance is viewed as a setting in which we are developing an individual's ability to do their job, their role, their function.
Lowell, oh, super. Someone's confirmed no further questions. I was going to say, I think there's no further questions, so I wonder if we would just like to maybe wrap up and say our farewells.
Yeah, lovely. Hopefully that has answered everybody's questions. If any more do crop up, please use my email address and drop me a quick email. I will endeavour to get back to you as quickly as I can. Hopefully, I look forward to seeing some applications. Thanks very much.